Today we will learn about the legislative branch at the federal level. Federal means national, or for the whole country. So the legislative branch at the federal level makes laws for the whole country. The legislative branch is one of the three branches of government, and we often call the legislative branch Congress. Congress is made up of two houses, the House of Representatives and the Senate. Members of Congress are elected every 2 years in November in what we call the general elections. Meetings of Congress are called sessions, and each session begins on January 3rd. Each member of Congress is paid an annual salary of $174,000, has a budget for offices within their state and in Washington, D.C., and is given money to travel home to meet with their constituents. Constituents are the people they represent. Members of Congress are also given free use of the Postal Service to mail information to their constituents. The House of Representatives has 435 members. Each member represents over 500,000 constituents from a specific area within their state, called a district. The 435 representatives are divided among the 50 states based on population. Smaller states get fewer representatives, while larger states get more. To make sure each state is getting the correct number of representatives, every 10 years the United States conducts a census, which is an official count of the population. If a state's population goes up, it gains representatives. If it goes down, it loses representatives. The Senate is a bit different, with each state getting an equal number of senators. The Senate has 100 members, and each state gets 2 regardless of their population. Both senators represent their entire state. That means that the senators for Wyoming, the least populous state, represent only about 590,000 people, while the senators for California, the most populous state, represent almost 40 million. The qualifications for representatives and senators are also different. In the House, each representative must be at least 25 years old, have been a U.S. citizen for at least 7 years, and live in the state he or she represents. They are elected for 2-year terms, and there is no term limit, meaning they can run for office as many times as they like as long as their constituents continue to re-elect them. In the Senate, each senator must be at least 30 years old, have been a U.S. citizen for at least 9 years, and live in the state he or she represents. They are elected for 6-year terms, and there is also no term limit. The House and the Senate also have different leaders. The chief officer of the House is the Speaker of the House, who is elected by the members of the House of Representatives. The Speaker runs sessions of the House and keeps order. They enforce all the rules, send bills to committees, and appoint new members to committees. The Speaker is second in line to become President after the Vice President. The chief officer of the Senate is the President of the Senate. Unlike the Speaker of the House, this position isn't elected by the members of the Senate. Instead, the Vice President of the United States automatically gets this job. The President of the Senate doesn't have nearly as much power as the Speaker of the House, but can vote if there is a tie. If the President of the Senate is away on other business for his role as Vice President, the Senate is led by a temporary leader called the President pro tempore, who is elected by the other members of the Senate. Each House of Congress has some special jobs that only they can fulfill. For example, if the Electoral College doesn't elect a presidential candidate with a majority vote, it is up to the House of Representatives to elect the president. The House also has the sole power to start tax bills and impeach government officials. There are also some jobs only the Senate can do, like approving appointments, which are people the president hires to official positions. Impeachment trials can also only be held in the Senate. Both houses of Congress are divided into committees that specialize in writing bills on certain topics. Each member of Congress serves on at least one committee. The Constitution gives Congress many powers. The main job of Congress is to raise money and spend it on the people's needs. Congress raises money through taxes, and all tax bills must start the bill-to-law process in the House of Representatives. There are many different types of taxes, like income tax, which comes out of your paycheck, and taxes on gasoline, cigarettes, and alcohol. Congress also has the power to spend. Congress spends money on things like the military, war, and programs for the general welfare, like Social Security payments to the elderly and Medicare. Congress also has the power to print money, borrow money, and make rules for trade. The Constitution also mentions something known as the Elastic Clause, which allows Congress to make all laws which are necessary and proper. For example, at the beginning of our country, the Constitution gave Congress power over the Army and Navy, and the Elastic Clause gave them the power to create the Air Force after planes were invented, even though the power to create an Air Force isn't written word for word in the Constitution. There are also many things Congress cannot do. For example, Congress cannot punish someone without a trial. They cannot pass laws that favor one state over another, and they also may not hold people prisoner without informing them of their charges. Federal laws are laws the entire country must follow. It is Congress's job to pass the laws that govern the United States. Before a law has been passed, it is called a bill. And whether the bill is introduced in the House or the Senate, the bill-to-law process is the same. All bills are introduced, sent to committees, voted on by the entire House of Congress, and then sent to the other House of Congress to repeat the entire process. Then the bill is either signed into law or vetoed by the President. Most lawmaking in Congress is done in committees. They research bills, gather facts, and listen to people speaking for and against the bill. In fact, most bills are set aside and never make it out of their committee. Most committees are permanent committees called standing committees. Some examples of standing committees include Agriculture, the Budget, and Foreign Affairs. As we discussed earlier, for a bill to be sent to the President's desk, it must pass in both houses of Congress. If both houses cannot agree on the same version of a bill, a temporary committee is formed with members of each house. These senators and representatives work together in the conference committee to write one version of the bill both houses can agree on. The bill is then voted on by the entire House and the entire Senate. If it passes, it is then sent to the President to sign. If a bill lands on the President's desk and he refuses to sign it, this is called a veto. He must then send the bill back to the House it originated in with a statement explaining why he didn't sign it. A veto can only be overridden and passed into law by a 2/3 vote in each House of Congress. We'll end with one more interesting fact on the bill-to-law process. The Senate has a special power to stop a bill from being passed called the filibuster. A filibuster occurs when a senator or group of senators refuses to sit down and stop talking about why they feel a bill shouldn't be passed. The record for a filibuster is 24 hours and 18 minutes. Historically, filibusters only occur once or twice a year and can only be stopped by a 3/5 vote of the Senate called cloture.